Forever and always, I'm always here. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 10th episode of Forever and Always. And can you believe it's been 10 episodes? I can't, but we are here. And I know some things are really jumping out at you already. And believe me, we're going to get to it. But really, first things first, I want to say a warm thank you for everybody that's been around for episodes 1 through 10. I think it's been a really fun ride so far, and there's nothing but blue sky and calm seas ahead. And I hope this goes on for another, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 episodes. And believe me, there is just that much material to get to. And that being said, I think it's time to maybe get to it. So, in honor of the 10th episode, I think maybe we should change locales. Whoa. Yeah, take a look around. We are on a calm, serene beach, and doesn't that look lovely? I will admit, even right now, in the first time that I set this up and I saw this on the screen, I just kind of, it blows me back every time. And as the anchors know, and if you're new, despite my love of Baywatch and Baywatch Nights, I do not like the beach, and even seeing a a serene scene like this, um, I gotta admit, it makes me a little uncomfortable. All I get is, visions of, you know, pontoon boats being, torn asunder by the waves and, picnics being invaded by, these wild roving gangs of seagulls and things of this nature. Uh Coincidentally, I was reading the other day even about these HABs, these harmful algae blooms. And, these things can happen at the beach. And from what I understand, it causes quite a bit of irritation, skin irritation. So if you beachgoers are out there, just be careful. Look out for those algae blooms. But definitely, I've gotten used to it. And I really think, some of these settings, I think it'll really help us as a community to really to get a greater understanding and a more, I don't know how what you would call it, just a better ambiance in order to open our minds, to really absorb the information again and really get the jewels of these nuggets of truth and morality and drama and these things that are just part of our lives and really we can learn from Baywatch in this case. Pardon me for one second. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, first of all, Tom, where are your glasses? And I'm going to get into that. Pardon me, but forgive me for any technical difficulties here. I'm quite literally flying blind, or I guess piloting a boat blind, and it's more appropriate for this scenario. But I will get there, and again, having a little bit of trouble here, as you might imagine. But your second question is probably, Tom, where did you get this new setup for the podcast? And, as you might imagine, since things at the church have been kind of, the situation around the church has kind of been deteriorating. I haven't been getting paid. I've still been doing my duties, my janitorial duties, and I think I've been doing a really dynamite job with that. But with the financial difficulties they're having, I am not receiving a paycheck. So I did something that I didn't think I was going to be doing, and it turns out that, I reached out and let me just grab it right here if you don't mind. I reached out to Don Baker's Pest Control, and I know you remember them. I believe it was maybe episode 3 or 4. They did a really great job, I thought, with the boll weevil problems and things of this nature, and, yeah, and, so I reached out to them and I said, "Hey, guys, I would love to offer my services. I have, a dedicated following of about 20 or 30 people. And, I know of at least one that lives in Decatur. And there's a very good chance, he may need some pest control." And so they agreed, not in financials, but they had a camera laying around and a big green sheet that you see behind me. And they Said, yeah, I mean, here you can have this stuff if you want it. And they gave me this ad copy to read, and I think we'll go ahead and do that now. And as they say, you got to pay the bills, you know. So stick around for this, and we'll be right back into it. All right. Now that's Mr. Baker right there, and I can tell you, there's not a better exterminator around. So let me read this ad, and then we'll get right back into the Baywatch here. Are pesky pests invading your home? Don't let them take over. When you need the most powerful solution to keep your space bug free, there's only one name to remember, and that's Don Baker's Pest Control. At Don Baker's Pest Control, we're not just your average exterminator company. We're the pest terminating lifeguards with the most potent chemicals on the market. Say goodbye to unwanted guests once and for all. Our team of highly trained experts is armed with the latest and greatest in pest fighting technology. We use cutting edge, powerful chemicals that pack a punch and send those pests packing. But don't worry, our top priority is safety and the well being of your family and pets. Our powerful chemicals are tough on pests and not on your loved ones. Your peace of mind is our promise. Don Baker's Pest Control, and they asked me to sing this part. So we're always ready. We won't let bugs out of our sight. Now, I really, really love that last part. So Don Baker, and you have the information there. If you're in the Mattoon area, the greater Decatur area, I highly, highly suggest giving them a call. I would say in this fourth paragraph here, where it says the powerful chemicals are tough on pests and not on your loved ones. Now, I can agree with that first part. These chemicals are very tough on pests. As far as I know, there was no, return of the boll weevils. I think they are completely gone. But I would say, given my experience and the in and out of comas and things of this nature, if Don comes out and brings out the big guns, I highly, highly recommend. I can't say this with enough seriousness. Please, please, please sit in a ventilated area and my overall suggestion would be please just get out of the house. Don't don't make the same mistakes old Tom did. That I can tell you, because that can lead to some very sticky situations. But once again, a big, big thanks to Don, and I hope this is a continuing relationship, and I really hope we drum up some business for you. So thanks again, Don. And let's see here, moving right along. Let me get this off the screen right quick and switch to something a little bit more fun. All right. Now, this is more of a mode for me. I can't do the whole podcast in front of that beach because, again, I am just going to, my skin's crawling just thinking about it. So let's go to something a little bit more on my vibe. Now, this is more like in a nice, warm living room, and you got some Baywatch on the TV. And now this is a place I could really settle into. I wish I could furnish the church with a room like this. That would just, that would put me over the moon. Um, but that's neither here nor there. And as I was getting settled in here, and I'm just going to digress for a minute. I was unpacking some of my belongings and items, and really, really looking up, trying to fish out some of these, the box sets that I have of Baywatch, all the seasons, of course, and all the seasons of Baywatch Nights VHS, and I do have DVD copies of these as well. And I was really digging around, and I did not find the VHS copies, and some of the DVDs really appeared to have been, I don't want to say sabotaged, or they maybe just deteriorated. I'm not sure. That was very, very distressing for me as, I do hours and hours of research in order to start this show. And it's very, very important to me. And so I was panicking. I was in a full blown panic. I said, I have an episode to get out. The anchors want to hear this information. And if I can't access it, my brain is full of information, but it's always good to double check these things. So I was scrambling for a solution to this problem, and I logged on to Amazon. I did a Google search. First, I did a Bing search. It wasn't very fruitful. And I did a Google search, and I saw that Baywatch was streaming on Amazon. And so I said, oh, I guess in a pinch, this is just gonna have to work. So I loaded it up and, I have a free trial, thankfully, until I can get this DVD thing sorted out. And I press play on. I just wanted to get the pilot. Usually it's just to really get the brain moving. I put on the pilot episode, and as I turned it on, almost spit out my coffee. This is a Baywatch remastered version, and I immediately didn't enjoy the aesthetic of it. They had made minor key changes in the opening song, and as you heard me in that Don Baker song, that's a little riff on the on the opening song, and I really think that I hit it key for key, note for note, and it was all wrong on this remastered issue. And I can't tell if that's just maybe my internet is very slow and it's causing some kind of breakdown of the stream. I'm not very tech savvy, so it certainly could be something like that. But in any event, I was absolutely disgusted by the changes, and I turned it off and I canceled my Amazon Prime. I won't be using them anymore, probably ever. And so again, old Tom, got to go back to the drawing board here. And so I got on my bicycle and I drove down, well, pedaled down to the video store. And I said, surely this rental store will have all of the seasons of Baywatch, probably on Blu-ray or whatever the whatever the new thing is. I'm sure they'll have them all. My only real fear is that they would all be checked out because, I mean, obviously there is probably a huge demand for these things, especially given the state and quality of the Amazon remaster. I think we can all agree that that is not something we're interested in. So I highly recommend, if you are a customer, either just boycott Amazon completely or maybe send some emails, and maybe we'll talk about that in a future episode. But I did run down to the video store, and it's a really great place that I found out, tons of movies. So I was cruising around for a few hours in the store, and I just couldn't find Baywatch, which was very, very surprising to me. They did have some new movie that was titled Baywatch. I don't know if it was related to Baywatch. It certainly didn't look like it. I didn't see David Hasselhoff anywhere, or any Billy Warlock or CJ or any of these titular characters. Um, so I went up to the front and I met a very, very nice young man named Alec. Really, really dynamite kid. And I was explaining my situation, about the podcast always, forever and always, and how I needed these, DVDs or tapes even for research, and how I had lost my glasses and maybe just couldn't see the DVDs, and things of this nature. And I was talking to him for probably a good um, 20 to 30 minutes, and well, we weren't getting anywhere, and at some point, he didn't seem all that receptive to the conversation. And the line, I guess, unbeknownst to me, was building up behind us, and people were getting very upset. And it's not my intention at all, but once I get going, it's kind of hard to hit the brakes. I can't really put the boat in reverse at that point. But as we were talking, we kind of went through. I have to back up just a tad. As I was speaking with the FBI from the last episode, and I'm sorry, this is a real right turn in this podcast, and I apologize. Um, but it is something I do need to speak about. The FBI, according to them, and I'm probably not supposed to say too much about this, but it's just the anchors. I think it'll all be fine. They did explain to me that the former pastor, preacher, if you will, preacher we will, is actually now considered to be a fugitive, and they kept throwing around this word fugitive. He's we're unable to find him, and things of this. And I said, I don't know where he is. I have no clue. And, they didn't really believe that, and there's still some contention around this, but I certainly don't. And but then, after the interview and after we, said our goodbyes for now, I kept thinking on the walk home. I said, fugitive. Now, what really is this fugitive? What is this all about? And so to get back into where I was asking Alec about this, and I said, After we determined that they did not have the DVDs, I asked him. I said, Alec, we're becoming good friends here. Do you know anything about like a fugitive situation or something like that? And first, he recommended, which I thought was a dynamite recommendation, is this. Let's see here if I have it. Sister Act. And I was reading the synopsis on the back, and while it does sound like a dynamite movie, it's not really what I'm looking for. This appears to be more of a witness protection scenario, and that's not really the situation that I got. So after that, um, he recommended and he slid over a copy of this movie called The Fugitive. And it stars Harrison Ford. Now, Harrison Ford, I am aware of. I've never seen any of his movies, but apparently he's in Star Wars and he plays this character Han Solo. And it's always been my contention, when I've seen from news media and some previews and blogs and things and pictures of this nature. Pardon me. I've always thought that Star Wars would have been a much, much bigger hit and much more, really would have hit more cultural relevance had they cast David Hasselhoff as Han Solo. And I mean, if you just think about it, really over the course of his career, I guess, Harrison Ford has been in some movies, but he's never really hit critical mass in the way that Hasselhoff is through his character Mitch. And I really think if George Lucas could go back, um, he certainly would not have even really considered Harrison Ford had he known that there was a caliber of the actor, the caliber of a Hasselhoff. I mean, think about it. This guy can sing, he can dance, he can swim, he can do all of these things, and I've never seen or heard of Harrison Ford doing any of these things. So it really, I think, would have been a great, great fit um, for Hasselhoff, and it's really it's a shame. I think it's a real shame. And again, George Lucas, maybe next time, we can remedy that error. Just get Hasselhoff in there right from the get go. Pardon me. And so, as I was leaving, or I wasn't leaving. The line again was building up behind me, and I began to hear some grumbling. And all of a sudden, from the back of the store, here comes the manager. And who would it be? It would be my former supervisorial companion, Julia. And I think I can safely call her Julia now that she is, no longer associated. And it was wonderful to see her. And we just talked briefly, and we said hello. And then she said, "You have to leave and, get out. There's people waiting. Are you going to rent anything?" And so it was just as an aside, it was really, really nice to see her. And so it was great, and all the best. And seems like she's going to do a really dynamite job there at that video store. And I have high hopes. So, dejected, I walked out of the video store and began a long, long walk home. And I said, "You know what? I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't have the pilot episode on VHS or on DVD, or DVD was damaged." And so I was browsing through all these, you know, boxes and buckets and everything, and all my stuff that I brought from my house. And I kind of got my notes. I have this big notebook, and I have every episode with notes and liner notes, and I have the clippings and the pictures all pasted onto the pages. And I was going through this, and I thought, what can I do? I need to learn. What am I going to be able to discuss? And then I saw it, and a big light bulb went off in my head. And when I just put my eyes on this episode, I said, I know this is the one we need to talk about. And it was kind of scary. Again, it was kind of a little bit of a chilling situation, because in my notes, and I'll just give you the title right now. The title is River of No Return. And in my notes, it said, very scary, do not rewatch. And so I'm kind of going off on memory here, because I'm going to trust these notes. Believe me, I'm not going to be rewatching this. So I remembered this episode, and it really struck me, because in this episode there is a fugitive, and it really ties in with everything, I think. And This is a very, very wonderful, beautiful, like as far as scenery goes, one of the best, I think. Mitch and some of the his fellow lifeguards, Erica Aliniak and Billy Warlock, and a few of the other crew are going on a rafting adventure. And so this is a non-beach episode, which is very, very rare. And sometimes, it's a nice palate cleanser. And so, yeah. And so from memory, and again, it's a pretty spooky episode. They're down in the river, and naturally Hobie is kind of getting into some mischief, and he starts hanging out with these real shady characters, and there's some panning for gold. There's a lot of odd scenarios in this episode, as far as I remember, and they really they get into some sticky situations. There's some rafting, and people are falling overboard, and they have a gang of these kind of backwoods, scofflaws following them around, and it really, really drives home the point that if you're going to go out on one of these trips, make sure you have somebody, preferably an anchor, somebody the caliber of a Mitch, because you could get yourself into some real, real trouble. But again, not having the notes in front of me, or actually the show, I just have the one note that do not watch. But I do urge you to watch this. Not on Amazon, though. Um, it does make it a bit challenging to really dig in. Now, again, we're in a situation now, and to kind of tie this all back together, the pastor of the church again is now a fugitive, which after kind of revisiting this episode, I really understand that he is on the run from the law. And again, according to the FBI, now he is moving up, the list of most wanted fugitives. So he is, I wanted to say, sixth or seventh in the Decatur area, top most wanted fugitives. So that's dynamite. I guess. Well, I don't know if it's dynamite or not, but it certainly is something to think about. And this is a two-part episode, and I really want to get it now. Right now, we'll move on to part two. Somebody's at the door. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one short. And again, apologies for any of these tech issues or anything like that. But I really think as we move on, this is going to be a great, great time for us. I'm always here.